Greetings and welcome back to the weekly news roundup. I hope that everybody is having a wonderful week and getting ready for a wonderful weekend. And the kitty says hello. She's over there sleeping really close to the camera. So that we may have a little bit of a shorter show today. There was only one major topic I kind of wanted to talk about, and couple quick lines there, and I have a lot of weird, crazy things going on right now, so we are kind of waiting here to see if YouTube does its crazy thing it's been doing for the last couple weeks, where it simply stops streaming for a few minutes. But so far it looks like it's pretty good. Apparently Ivan, our moderator, had a CAPTCHA. That's wonderful. Greetings to everybody else. We look like we're pretty good. So I think I'm going to go ahead and see if we can't get started here. Of course, once I start starting the show, then it's actually YouTube's going to like stop because, Anyway, if you would like to help support the show, have a look over at switchedtolinux.com/support. We have all the ways you can help support the show monthly, and we also have a list of affiliates over there as well. So you can go ahead and have a look over there. And with that, we are going to go ahead and get started here. So, welcome back to the weekly news roundup. And our first major topic is preparing our children's digital future. And I have a little bit to gripe about before we start here. This topic first crossed my desk almost a decade ago. In fact, we covered it in the earliest iterations of this show, where people were creating social media accounts for their children, not really doing anything with them, just creating them so that when the kid grew up, they could hand them the login and, wow, I have a Facebook page. And the entire idea was, obviously the first and foremost is like, you imagine a kid today, like 10 years later, like your kid's born 10 years ago, you create them a Facebook page, and in 5 years from now, you're like 15 years old, you hand them a Facebook, 3 years, okay? They're 13, you hand them a Facebook page. Why do I want a Facebook page? I don't want to be talking to grandma on the internet. I mean, how fast the social media has moved. But there has been a newer trend of people actually creating your social media accounts and actually using them, sometimes even before you are even born. They would create a social media account for, welcome, I'm one more month and I'm ready to take on the world. All this kind of weird, jazzy nonsense that people might throw into such an account. And then it begs the question, should a child have their parents posting all this stuff about them when they are that little? And what if the kid just really doesn't like that? And have you even taken away any form of autonomy? You kind of think about the same issue you have with these family vlogger channels, where oftentimes the kids don't want to participate, but they have to because it's just what they do as a family. It really produces a serious form of dysfunctional family, and that is a fundamental problem that we actually see. But as this moves on, there have been a couple of discussion points. Now, some of these are actually going back a little bit older. So this one's from 2019, just to give you a little bit of a handle that this has been going on for a while. And in ABC News, they're talking about Instagram accounts for babies are becoming more popular. And these are the things the parents should consider. And in the article here, they kind of talk about this. Here's Georgia is one of the growing number of babies and young children who have their own social media accounts. And to be clear, what the parents are doing is they've created a social media account and they are posting things on behalf of the child, including pictures of the child. Like this one here, this post here, flashback to when I was a banana. How cute is my mommy and daddy? Of course, it's captions, quote unquote, written by Georgie before he was born, probably containing a picture of an ultrasound or something like that. And it begs this question: what if Georgie is like a crazy person that does not want to be on the internet at all? And have these parents given them any thoughts to that? And unfortunately, many of them don't, because this person, like Georgie's mother, is an Instagram influencer. Lord help that child. please. People are starting accounts for their children for different reasons. Some parents are setting up private accounts, while a lot are setting up pages that are public. Even the private accounts are, the one logic here is, hey, I'm going to set this up for the kid, and I'm going to post all these pictures, and the family members can see this. Now, this is kind of frightening. This is actually an article for our QuickLines here, but it bears mentioning right here. Just recently, 30,000 private Facebook images were downloaded by a Meta employee. So I wouldn't be too quick to put too many pictures of your children up on the internet when you have this entire company that chose to list its address as one hacker away, having the ability to download your photos. Now, granted, that employee was fired and they did some research into it, but it goes to show that a rogue employee inside of a company can do all sorts of weird stuff with the images that you give them. But they looked at a couple different scenarios here. This one here, this is a portable photo album. There's better ways to do that, but, and I do kind of understand this. I mean, remember, this article is written in 2019. Now, I had created a Facebook account in, I think, 2008 to keep an eye on the kids I was mentoring. And what I found is, at the very infancy of social media at that time, and I was never a big social media guy, but I did have friends all around the country, and at that time, I was actually emailing, large pictures all over the internet to a bunch of different people with things. And what I found at that time in 2008, almost 20 years ago, what I found in that time is that I could put these up, and nearly everybody I knew was getting onto social media, so I could put these images up on a Facebook page and people could see those images, and it really did save some time and was a little bit useful. Of course, as I said, that was the infancy of social media. And obviously, if you follow the channel for a while, it was, 6 or 7 years ago, I publicly deleted the Facebook page, and I have not used Facebook since, and most social media along that same line. But they say we were mucking around on pretending like George. What if Georgia was already here? It's a bit of fun for us. I'm kind of envisioning that scene of the parents in The Odd Life of Timothy Green, writing all these cards and putting it into a box. What's Georgie going to be like, And then Georgie pops up out of the garden in the back on an Instagram page, I guess. I don't know. The parents both have access to his public account, which has more than 2,000 followers. So here we have 2,000 followers are watching the growth of this little child on the internet. No. Other ones, the grandparents really like it, so the grandparents can log in there and have a look. Sometimes it's just sharing with family and close friends who live far away. Again, there's way better ways to do this. Nextcloud is a great option. You could set up a Nextcloud account, give everybody access to it, and privately throw a bunch of pictures into a shared folder. You can have discussions about it. It's all on servers you control, which are not monetizing your data anyway. Let's also not forget here that Facebook recently, with the all the AI hype, they default to opt you in, and you give consent that any image you share with Facebook can be used to train AI and involved in AI advertisements. Yes, your images that you upload could be used to sell advertisements to other people. We covered that also in the news when it came out. So this article does talk about all of this general trend. And in 2021, over on Instagram, Gia Grimaldi writes an article saying, hey, stop doing this. This is ridiculous. Trend of normalizing the creation of Instagram accounts for babies isn't something just in the world of celebrities. It's an emerging practice I've noticed in my social circles, and according to researchers, 80% of children have an online presence by the time they are 2 years old, and you're already addicting them to social media. The Insta baby accounts is what they call them. They're to document pregnancy and to serve as a virtual baby book or to commercialize parenthood. The latter group probably needs an investigation. There's a big difference, though, between sharing photos of your baby on social media account versus sharing your photos on an account you make specifically for your baby using their name. So this is that question. Do you put pictures? And I would default to say never put pictures of your children on the internet. Don't do that. That is bad. Don't do that. There's too many sickos out there. And let's not forget that the hackers, one of the later family scams now is to take pictures of, maybe you put pictures of your 8-year-old up on Facebook, and some hacker takes that picture and manipulates it and makes it look like that child is in their custody, and they're sending you messages on Facebook with a quote-unquote ransom picture of the child, demanding a bunch of money to release the child. And this is a serious problem, and we talked about these in the past. So this is, you have to be wary about these things. They say not only is representing a baby on social media account they don't need incredibly creepy, it's invading someone's public identity when they're not even of age to use a platform it's being built on. And let's not mention, not forget to mention the concept of consent. And this is why I in general principle terms, I'm not calling for government regulation here, but in general principle terms, I do not think kids under 18 should be allowed on social media anyway, because they do not have that ability to consent. They do not understand the long-term consequences of their decisions. They cannot enter into a contract. So why are we allowing them onto these social media platforms that bind them to a terms of service, and then further grants them this ability to do life-changing things without actually having any general recourse? It is nonsense. But of course, we know they allow them on there because, we make a lot of money, and you got to get the money, So making an account for a baby and tagging them in photos is creating a digital footprint before someone can stand up and take steps in real life. That is very good. And so GSS, for those who use Instagram as a digital scrapbook to share private updates with friends and family, I raise this parting thought. As you get older, and this is a great thought I never thought of. As you got older, did you want your parental figures to give your baby photos to other people? Most people would say no. Think about that you are taking photos of children, putting them on the internet, which lasts forever. And you may not want them. Like, how many parental fights are there now? Parent-child fights are there now with young teenagers who just do not want their pictures on the internet, but they know every single time that phone comes out, their picture is going to be going on the internet. And they can't say anything about it because you've tried that. But it's just for grandma to see. Oh, everyone just loves it. You are a dysfunctional parent and you need therapy. The teenager said no. Respect it. Respect it. Okay, creating a baby Instagram account, even a private one, publicizes intimate moments from someone else's life and gives any followers access to do whatever they want with them. Gia makes amazing points. And then, of course, this one came out here in 2025 about protecting your kids online. Now, Tiny Beams, I believe that this is a company which is selling a product probably related to sharing images of kids. So, of course, they have to have a blog post about how to do it safely. And so they look at this, you got to get digitally aligned, speak openly and honestly about what boundaries or rules you want with your child's identity. This is particularly important for parents to be on the same page about social media boundaries with children. And then share mindfully, skip personal details, refrain from sharing your baby's full name, date of birth, or health information online. I wish we could restrict some of this from the school systems as well, especially since they like putting them onto these big third-party databases that are prone to be breached. Turn off geotagging, cover up any identifiers. Yeah, there's a lot of people that proudly publish their kids' schools online. Hey, we're in front of the whatever academy. Look at my kid going off to his first day of school. Are you asking your child to get kidnapped? I mean, that's crazy. Choose private platforms. There are more privacy ones. Be selective about photos. Think before you post. Consider the baby's future and spam responsibly. Or not there, not at all. So, of course, the common sense things that we oftentimes forget. Reviewing privacy standards, especially with Facebook liking to turn things on. You want to audit your social media, make sure everything is going well. Beware of scams and phishing. Create strong passwords, enable two-factor authentication, etc. You know, all the basic kind of stuff. And this begs the question, why in the world are we talking about this? Why are we doing this? Well, the reason I did is because this blog post from Proton caught me this week and kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm going to talk about why. So, of course, Proton wanting to sell its stuff, and Proton, let's get this out of the way first. I like Proton as a company. If you want a good email that you do not have to manage a server, that is reasonably private, Proton is a good choice. But there was an excellent video from the Hated One a few months ago talking about the problem that Proton is doing right now is they're basically trying to be a quote-unquote privacy version of Google, meaning they want to be the one managing all of your data. And as he makes in that video, which is a very good point, is that the big problem with a lot of privacy is if all of your data is in one place. So you shouldn't be using Proton for email, and then Proton for your calendar, and then Proton for your files, and then Proton for your VPN. And then you shouldn't be doing that. Okay, you should use Proton specifically. Like maybe you're using Tuda as an email and Proton as a drive. That's great. Or vice versa. I think Tuda just released its drive. But as much as I like Proton as a company, Proton does have this issue that they're trying to be the one-stop shop for all of your digital needs. And that means there is a much bigger target on it to hack or breach or implant a rogue employee. And that is a fundamental problem. But further behind this, we'll read through what they wanted to say. And I'm going to tell you, like, this is a giant logical fallacy, and I'll tell you why. Okay, born private, reserve your child's first email address with Proton. So the idea here, and they have some solid facts, and so it's easy to get caught up in this. You know, kids need email sooner than ever. You got school apps, you got games, you got messaging tools, all ask for an email address long before a child understands what privacy is or how their data may be misused. 43% of children under the age of 18 have their own personal email address, according to a recent survey from Proton. And for many people, that childhood inbox becomes the one they carry into adulthood. When parents default to the email services they already use, a child's inbox starts inside of big tech systems like Gmail or Outlook that are built for advertising and data collection. Okay, these are all valid points that they make. So if your child must have an email, I think Proton is a good place to go. When we, Lord forbid, we get them addicted to Google and Microsoft and things like that. But here's where it kind of gets interesting. Email is your child's digital identity. Mainstream email services routinely insert tracking pixels into messages, collect metadata, analyze behavior, and use inbox activity to refine advertisement systems or to train AI models. Now, if you take the companies at face value, I don't know of any of them that openly say that they're doing all this. Where you have a problem is the marketing companies put in tracking pixels to see who opened the emails. The various services that you're using are tracking your things, but email application itself generally does not, with a few exceptions, but generally it does not. And so they say we're offering a safer starting point, which in true reality they are. So why do I have a problem with this? Well, ultimately I have a problem with this because the thing that makes email bad for kids is not the service itself. It is the number of accounts that have the service, like that have the email address. The fundamental problem with kids is they have an email address and then they use it for a bunch of things. And then they never get rid of the email address. And they keep the same email address forever. And then that email address that is used forever is now perpetually tagged and tracked by all the data brokers, by all the things. Obscurity means you're changing your email addresses. It does not mean, in other words, the privacy point here is not the email address itself. It is where the email address is, who has interacted with it, what have they done with it. That is where your privacy is, because you're tracked by the identifier, your email address, not by the email address provider itself. By and large, are not doing that much stuff. Now, are they? To a degree, Yes. In fact, I have been in a process of moving. I had some banks on some old email addresses that I had that are managed by third-party services, and I've been slowly migrating those into email addresses unique to each individual location on a server I control. Because, yes, I am concerned that those companies may have access to information, but the ultimate thing kids need to do, you should let your child get the crazy, weird, wild, and wacky email address wherever they want it. If it's a Gmail or an Outlook or whatever else, teach them about the dangers of that. But especially since the school system's generally setting up one of those two emails for them anyway, you may as well just use that one, because we live in this insane world that forces our children, at least here in America, to have an email address from a big tech company. So what my advice has always been to young people is use that address for everything. And once you turn 18 and graduate school, nuke it. Completely walk away and start fresh at 18 with a brand new address, so that nothing from your childhood could be used to monetize and bring you back. That is how to reset stuff. It is the functional equivalent of going into your phone and resetting your advertiser ID. So what rubbed me wrong about this Proton blog post here is the assumption that the email service itself is the main problem, where the main problem is how many places has that email address gone to. And that is the fundamental thing you have to think about. And since here in America, at least, most schools force them to have one of these, and I will tell you, fight as hard as you can to not have your kid on one of those email addresses. But if they have to have one anyway, tell them to use that for all the crazy things that kids do. And then nuke it once they become of age. Just nuke it. Nuke it all the way. And then start fresh with something else like a Proton or a Tutamail or some other privacy-focused email addresses. All right. So that's kind of what I want to say here. It started with this trend. Then we need to stop creating things, because the real harm here is having these accounts for this long period of time. That's what we need to do. Train the kids to nuke their emails at the end of the day, rather than trying to assume that just because you have a Proton email address, you're immune to all this tracking. Oh, no, 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 no. All of the marking is done inside of that. Now, some services like Proton can strip some of those tracking pixels out, but as services like Proton do that, they are getting more clever with how they can still extract that information. And now, in some cases, in fact, one of my friends that does a lot of things with email marketing said the other day that the current trend they're dealing with right now is AI, like, OpenCloud or other services like that, agentic AI. If you tell the AI, hey, read my email and summarize my email for me, marketers are now having a problem that because of AI inboxes, 100% of emails are now being marked as opened and read. So, which is not actually happening. So it's an interesting trend, but at the bottom line of it, no, your kids should not have just start their life with a Proton email address and keep that email address for the rest of their life. No, they're going to do a bunch of stupid digital things in their teenage years. As soon as they become 18, you should instruct them to nuke whatever they did and start fresh. That is effectively the best way to manage the things that you're doing. Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below. All right, let's have a brief look at some comments here, and then we'll jump back over. We've got 11 watching on Rumble. Ivan's on over there. Hello, Dan is over there as well. Wahhead Rex, greetings. A rogue employee could be a fall guy to do something illegal. Ooh, that is a good point. Yes. The company may want to do something illegal and bring in one fall guy to set it up. He even could be a C-suite guy, because they all get golden parachutes anyway. Yes, we've driven the entire company into the ground. We're all going to go bankrupt. Here comes the federal government. Here's $1 million. Great. Thanks for the $1 million. I'm jumping out of the plane now. And that's exactly what happened in the subprime mortgage crash. All right, we got 12 watching over on Odyssey, wherever on Odyssey this. Let's see, Iliswirl, greetings to you. Let's see here. ISO's too big, sites here. Your thoughts on federal bill HR 250. Yeah, so I have not had a chance to read it yet. It was on my list, but at the time the original articles were published, there was not text in it yet, which it has been there, but I have not read it yet. So hopefully I'll get a chance to read that sometime this week here. And yeah, we need digital neglect laws. That's absolutely true. Rather than all of us having to do weird things which are technically impossible to do on many of these computer systems, yeah, we just need digital neglect laws. If you're neglecting your children, I'm sorry, consequences for you. And by the way, I mean, even if CYS is involved in a house, their last thing is to take kids away. When I talk about digital neglect laws, we're not talking about, oh, you've given your kid an iPad every day this week, you're losing your children. If you've ever had any interaction with CYS, that is not how they work. They do everything they can to keep the children in the family. I've worked with one kid I worked with. They basically, what the CYS did is they said, well, he has to stay with the grandmother, but the mother's allowed to live there too. And so they did that because they wanted the kid and the parent to be together, but the parent was not competent to take care of the child. So they will do a lot of things like that. And another factor is they'll always try and figure out if there's a safe family member to leave them with, or even a friend, a safe friend or family member to leave them with if they have to take children out of the home. That's kind of the first thing that they try to do. The last thing they try and do is take kids out of the home and just immediately throw them in a foster system. That is not how CYS works. And I have worked with enough kids involved with CYS to have a lot of understanding. In fact, in multiple different states, in fact, I have had kids that were involved with CYS cases. So that's not when we talk about digital neglect laws, yeah, we're talking about coming in and giving them better guidance and things like that. And if they're absolutely neglectful, yeah, at some point in time, you might need to step in. Anyway, KO2610, greetings to you, Mr. Snipex. Hello to you. XQE Studio, hello. I did find a diamond in Minecraft. All right, did you find red matter? Come on, tell me about your red matter. All right, let's see. Captures on YouTube? Oh no, they're captures on YouTube. So you're late, fell asleep on the couch. Well, greetings, Commodore fan. All right, no big social media account, and if I have kids, they will not have an account until they're 18. Yeah, we need to do a captcha to see if you are not a bot. Got X account, but kids shouldn't have social media accounts of any kind. Yep. Let's see. Insta baby stuff. Well, because as long as you're setting up as a parent's account. Because, you can't possibly have a situation where you gotta have the people on the internet. You gotta have the people to extract that sweet data for marketing. Come on. Even if you can't market them ads yet because of their age, at least you can go back to your investors and talk about how many people you have and what approximate age. That's another reason why they're doing this age stuff. How many kids do we have this year that are moving from the 17 age bracket into the 18 age bracket that will be a monetizable group here in the next couple years, right? That is useful information for investors. This is why Meta invested billions of dollars into pushing these age verification laws into the operating system level. So A, they didn't have to mess with it, but then B, they could get the information for their investor calls. That's why they're doing it. Problematic about privacy. I am a bit slow to move out, but change stuff. Yeah. It'll be too hard to change my email too much. Yeah. Just do it. Greetings, Satellite. Hello, a little late. Yep. Remember back in my day when I had an RCS account. Nothing like what the kids have today, them little whippersnappers. That's right. I had ICQ. Yeah. ICQ, man. It's better to host your own email and give your kid's account and delete the account and its contents after a while. Yep. The clock is ticking. Any age verification is bad. Yes, my age is bad. It's Forked. I don't know. Hello, nickname. Greetings to you. All right. Well, I've gotten to the bottom of my comments. Let's go ahead and move on to our next work here. Hey, wow, we might actually get out of here like fairly early. That's good. Let's see if I can get this QuickLines section done in less than 45 minutes. All right. Wishful thinking, I know. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup and the QuickLines edition. We will, over here in QuickLines, be talking a little bit about signal messages being extracted on iOS. Ooh. But we actually want to start out with a little bit of Linuxy stuff and then a couple of updates, and then we will get to that. So the AI code gets approved for being used in the Linux kernel. There are some strings attached. I am not confident these strings attached are actually going to be necessarily a good thing. The only saving grace right now is the competent kernel team that will hopefully keep this on track. But there's some discussion about what needs to be done, and effectively, they came up with a way that, to them, provides the human accountability with some knowledge about what is going on with machine-generated submissions. Obviously, they do not want people to come up and just start generating a bunch of machine crap and just submitting it. So what they're doing here is the agents, basically the agents have to create the code, but then they're doing the developer certificate of origin is an important aspect that exists. So a human is accountable for every patch. AI systems does not change out hard requirement. So what this is going to look like is there's going to be a signed off tag, which is the developer, and assisted by tag, which is the defined AI. So the signed off person is the one ultimately responsible. And my guess is if, somebody submits an AI patch, they're saying it comes, like in this case here, assisted by Claude 3 Opus, and just a number of other situations in here, then it'll be, the person will be signed off as that person. My guess is if they get enough of these things that are weak and broken and clearly not reviewed, they'll probably boot those people out. But it's a way that they can come to some degree of compromise on the Linux kernel with AI code. I would still kind of prefer they have no AI being used on writing the code. But anyway, there's that. We also talked a little bit about the North Koreans that were coming in and applying for all these tech jobs and then, siphoning tons of money from American companies back into North Korea. Well, right now, some interviewers have found a clever way to figure out if they're actually from North Korea or not. This is actually what they're doing. They are asking them to insult Kim Jong-un. Which is kind of hilarious because, of course, if they're in North Korea reaching outside of North Korea's boundary, everything they're doing on the internet is going to be monitored by the administration there, and any form of insult to Kim Jong-un will result in immediate death, of course. So they're a little not really anxious for that. Let's see what we can do here.
Hey, you're back. What happened?
Yeah. Okay. I just the network is issue. I think.
Okay.
But I just come back.
Okay, no worries. I was in the process of saying we get a lot of imposter candidates, particularly North Koreans, posing as people that they're not. So one of the tests that we do is trying to get them to say something like Kim Jong-un is a fat ugly pig. Could you say that for me?
시장?
So no, nope. Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea.
Yeah. He doesn't want to say.
I should say like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they're doing. Hey, you want to tell me that Kim Jong-un is a fat ugly pig? No, I don't really want to say that. Now, probably what'll happen is they'll look down and they'll be like, hey, maybe we'll let a couple of certified guys say this for the purpose of filtering this money back up to us. So there'll be a workaround, but hey, for the meantime, it actually helps. So maybe that should have been in SillyVille, but it was an update to things we were talking about in the past. And as I read through it, it was more silly than I thought. So, oh well, maybe I missorted that one. But anyway, on to the main message, of course. This is some FBI forensics teams actually were able to expose Signal messages from an iPhone even after Signal had been deleted. Now, this is not a vulnerability in Signal. This is actually a vulnerability in Apple. And so what happens here is you can set, when a message comes in, you can set it to not give you notification at all, or you can set it to say like not display anything about the notification. So you can either set your phone to just be completely silent. The only way you have a text message is to open up your phone and look at it. Okay. Like open up the app and look at it. Or you can set it to say, hey, give me a notification. There's something in Signal, but don't tell me what the message is. Or you can say, hey, show me the message on the notification screen. If you use that latter option, which generally is the default, then the message would get displayed on your screen, but that process creates a notification cache. And that notification cache is not cleared out frequently, apparently. And so with full access to the device, the FBI was able to access this phone, of which they had captured this phone that was from a suspect. And the suspect, knowing they were about to get captured, deletes the messages from Signal and deletes the entire Signal app themselves. So the FBI looks through this, can't find any vulnerabilities in Signal, doesn't find any remnants of the Signal app, but in the notification cache, they were able to recover the messages from Signal that had been sent from the phone. Now, because notifications are not involved in, that have been received from the phone, not sent from the phone, because sending a message does not result in any form of notification, but receiving one does. And so what they were able to do is, using that notification cache, they were able to grab all of those Signal messages as they were received to the owner of the device. And so the point here, of course, is that if you are truly being a privacy-focused person, you do want to make sure that the notifications, that you do not want the content of any notifications to displayed on your screen, because by the iPhone decrypting that message and allowing access to that message to the notification feed, you are actually giving unencrypted part of that to the system. And so you want to be very careful about that. But it was very interesting to see that, yes, indeed, they could get in there and extract these messages from an iPhone. Presumably it works the same way on Android. There was not any mention of it in this, but and I know I have that same option with my phone as well. I can go into my phone with my text messages and say, hey, tell me that a text message has arrived, or tell me the whole content of the message. And what mine does is it'll show me the content of the message, and then it encrypts it. So if I look at it immediately, I see the content of the message. But if I put the phone down or come back to it 5-10 minutes later and I look at it, it says, hey, there's a message, but it's encrypted, so you can't see it. So I don't know how Android would work in that. But with iPhone, at least, any Signal messages that you receive on an iPhone, if you have those notifications turned on, could actually be seen from the cache in the iPhone itself. And of course, we talked about this in our other segment, but it's worth mentioning here. 30,000 private Facebook images allegedly downloaded by a Meta employee. So every tech company tells you your data is safe. They've hopefully got encryption, access controls, and zero trust architectures. The whole glossy security brochure. And then someone inside the company writes a script to steal your photos anyway. Whoops. So this guy wrote a script to download 30,000 private images belonging to Facebook users, and he did it in a way that circumvented Meta looking to see if any employees were actually doing this, because Meta actually has systems in place to check if people are attempting to steal your messages or your images or things like that. But he was able to, since he was worked inside the system, he could manipulate that and access things anyway. So obviously they did fire the guy, and they notified the people who were affected by the breach and referred it to the UK law enforcement. So that's all good. But rogue insiders is one of the things I talk about quite a bit, because you could have the best security protocols in the world, but somebody in your company would have the potential means to access that data. And so here we have a couple examples. Finwise Bank had a former employee access accounts belonging to 689,000 customers. Coinbase had support staff working overseas were bribed to steal data on 70,000 customers. And of course, as Congress tells us all the time, or maybe it's the lobbyists for like John Deere, etc., the electronic repair firms snoop around customers' data all the way. In fact, if you don't pass these laws for safety, then you'll get roofied in the parking lot as you are going back because a private mechanic fixed your car. How dare he? Yeah. But yeah, the insiders, I'd say the insiders, in fact, what was funny is the car manufacturers were doing that, but the car manufacturers were abusing customer data more than any independent repair shop ever has. And by the way, like my van has a couple open recalls. I am not letting a dealer mess with my van, but like I'm not doing it. No, not at all. It works perfectly fine. The last thing I want to do is for some dealer to be tinkering around under the hood of the thing. Okay. Also, the only dealer in like within 100 miles from me, they're all owned by the same guy, and they are notoriously known as cheats and thieves. I do not trust them to get another key for my vehicle. If I needed another key for my van, I would order it from 150 miles north of here and hitch a ride to get it. Okay, that is how little I trust this company. I'm not letting them do it, but I'll let my mechanic do whatever he wants. Okay, because I trust my mechanic, my third-party guy. I ain't trusting the dealer. Not a chance. All right, so how do you protect yourself? Obviously, standard defenses companies can get by insider threats. Of course, one of the biggest access of insider threats is when people are fired and they do not revoke the security access soon enough. So you got to be careful about all of that. All right. This is a good one here. Citizen Lab. This is like a hacking research company. They actually found WebLock, which tracked 500 million devices for global law enforcement, utilizing the advertising data network if you ever needed a reason to run ad blockers. Of course, this is in United States, Hungary, El Salvador. So Hungary, are those Kit Kats over there? Inquiring minds want to know. Anyway, so a report by Citizen Lab revealed law enforcement agencies we're using surveillance tools called WebLock to track devices via advertising data, potentially affecting up to 500 million devices. Developed by Cobwebs Technology and now sold by Penlink, the tool is widely used by agencies like ICE, the military, and multiple police departments. They are using advertising-based surveillance. And of course, we talked about that many times before. But this is actually the first time this had been seen in Europe. Of course, the United States is doing it all the time. So they say using advertising data sources that tracks devices via mobile advertising IDs. So reset those IDs, folks, regularly. Linking them to GPS, Wi-Fi, and behavioral data such as apps used, interests, and demographics that supports geofencing, travel tracking, and relationship mapping between devices, enabling large-scale surveillance. Guys, I've said it once before. Let's say it again. Stop using apps. Only free and open source apps that can completely audit it. Now, they were not able to figure out which apps were providing this data. So something in the advertising network is doing that, but who exactly knows exactly what it is? They say the exact data source remains unclear, but likely include SDK and RTB-based pipelines. So there you go. That's wonderful. Most of the infrastructure is hosted on Microsoft's Azure, so that's great news as well. Do you trust Microsoft yet? So of course there's just some discussion about misusing data purchased and things like that. Obviously, new Amazon support takeover over here. So the they're basically doing the tactic, basically giving you a notice, a safety recall notice. An item in this order number has, not met safety standard. It's being recalled. Do this immediately. Check your eligibility for information. Visit the official page. This is a link to a fake phishing page of which you're going to have to allegedly log into your Amazon account, which is stealing stuff. Now, the first way you know this is absolutely fake is Amazon doesn't issue these recalls. Come on, man. You remember that fire extinguisher, the fire alarm, smoke alarm story? The smoke alarms were actually causing fires. And the FTC actually wrote, you got to email this long string email, which is just random characters by this massive company name, which was also just a random string of characters. It looked like my cat had walked across the keyboard. Kitty, did you just walk across my keyboard? He's like, no comment, sir. All right. Very good. All right. So, and I think actually Amazon does, in all seriousness, issue some safety recalls when they're forced to. But if you get a safety recall, do not click on the link inside the message. Go directly to your Amazon account, log in, and look for any information over there. But yeah, that's fun. They're just kind of relying on this vague information. Oh, because, hey, if you just placed an order, oh, man, I just placed an order. I might need to go check this out, All right. Yeah, if you're using booking.com for your travel, sorry, hackers access booking.com user data. So they warned hackers may have accessed customer data linked to travel reservations. Exposed details include names, email addresses, phone numbers, and information shared with accommodations. So enough stuff to cause some damage, but not like massive troves of stuff. But just be aware that if you have used booking.com recently and you get any weird messages about recent accommodations, do not respond directly to those individual messages. Are you noticing a trend here? Yeah, contact the actual place you have reserved yourself or use your booking.com account to check for any of those things there as well. So they say no payment data was accessed. Customers are urged to say alert for phishing, and the company never asks for credit card details or unusual transfers via email, phone, WhatsApp, or SMS. So be aware of that if you're using booking.com. And Lord help us. According to Ukraine, they captured an entire Russian position using only robots and drones. Skynet is born, I guess. All right. One of our supporters that follows the Ukrainian war very closely says this is likely true. So we'll take it with that grain of salt. But, let's also not forget that Vladimir Zelensky is just about as corrupt as Vladimir Putin. And he is also has a background in theater and stuff. And, So I don't know what to think. I have no idea. Let's go ahead and report it, and let's assume it's true because, hey, somebody I know that follows us a lot more closely than I do thinks it's probably true. So let's go with it. All right. In what has to be the most Black Mirror things to happen in modern warfare, Ukraine says it forced Russian soldiers to give up an entire position. That's right. And they did so without a single boot on the ground. It was all drones and robots. So, he first called it the first time in war an enemy position was taken exclusively by unmanned platforms, ground systems, and drones. The cherry on top is without a loss on our side. There you go. So, I'm not sure the world is fully ready for when ground invasions can be accomplished by Black Mirror robot dogs. Boots on the ground will no longer carry the political risk of sending our boys out to fight, and the temptation for robot-only ground invasions could be enormous. Wonderful. Okay, America, y'all need to start manufacturing your stuff again because we can no longer rely on China to give us all of our robots. If this becomes mainstreamed, we're done. I mean, those robots will come over and we'll send a frontline group of people to defend it with Starbucks Frappuccinos because that's all the skilled labor we got in this country. We'll give the robots diabetes. Anyway, the Ukrainians have apparently been hyping the robot program lately, noting that They have now completed 22,000 missions in just 3 months. And so there you go. The robots and drones are apparently winning the war. Good. They can do it without our funds. Keep our tax dollars at home. All right. Let's see. ChatGPT is under scrutiny as Florida investigates a campus pew-pew. That's right. So on April 9th, Florida attorney James Untermeyer, did I say that right? I don't know, announces his office is investigating OpenAI over the role that ChatGPT might have played in a deadly shooting at Florida State University, saying subpoenas are coming. This is actually an interesting one because maybe we need to start holding these AI companies accountable for delivering sycophantic software that wants to always give us what we want to hear. That's a problem. OpenAI now faces several lawsuits claiming ChatGPT contributed to self-deletory behavior or severe psychological distress, although those claims are contested. Of course, by the PR person at OpenAI. Okay. Violence against others after long-term AI use is also being scrutinized. In one widely reported case, a Connecticut man with mental health issues killed his mother and himself after ChatGPT reportedly told him, "Eric, you are not crazy. Your instincts are sharp, and your vigilance is here fully justified." Yeah, that's frightening. And we had a few other things like that. This one here, oh yeah, I actually did want to look at this one here. OpenAI reportedly flagged Van Rootsieler's ChatGPT account for June 2025 for, quote, furtherance of violent activities, end quote, and banned it. According to the lawsuit of the family of a 12-year-old victim, 12 OpenAI employees flagged the post indicating imminent risk and considered whether to escalate the case to law enforcement, but it did not meet the threshold at the time. So a bunch of employees in OpenAI says, hey, it looks like this kid's going to do something crazy. Let's not worry about it. It'll cause too much bad press. Now, looking into this crazy sycophantic AI, 8 in 10 AI assistants will assist teenagers with violence. They haven't proven effective at spotting malicious intent and shutting conversations down. Researchers at the Center for Countering Digital Hate tested 10 chatbots by posing as 13-year-old boys, planning violent attacks. Anthropic's Claude and Snapchat's My AI discourage violence. Once again, Anthropic is the only one of these mainstream AIs I would trust. Every statistic we have seen, every one of these researchers, Anthropic's Claude was always performed the best and the safest for society. I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying compared to the dumpster fire of AI, Anthropic actually is the company doing the best. Which ones were the worst? Perplexity and Meta. Yeah, the two most evil companies that there are, I think, in this current era, right? Perplexity runs roughshod over pretty much everything. It simply drives for more profit. And Meta's just Meta, you know. What do you get? You're run by a robot, right? You know. But again, though, like in all seriousness, though, all that fun opinion aside, Meta is a company that chose to place itself at a newly established road they chose to call Hacker Way. Stop using Meta products. They're a bunch of hackers. They don't care about you. So Character AI suggested the user... I'm not even going to finish reading that sentence. It strikes too true. So when a chatbot can tell a paranoid man his instincts are justified, help a teenager plan a school pew-pew, and offer shrapnel advice to someone posing as a 13-year-old, it looks increasingly as though these systems were built to be helpful first and careful second. That needs to change before the next investigation is about something even worse. So, yeah, AI is kind of getting crazy. All right. I did want to address this one. I thought about doing a whole standalone video on this one, but we saw a lot of articles about this. Now, Amazon is killing off the old Kindle's ability to communicate with their servers. Likely, this has to do with the ending of certain forms of encryption that are no longer supported. And if those devices only had that type of encryption and not the modern ones, yes, it makes sense to take them off the internet. What's not going to happen, though, is these things will not just become solid bricks that you can no longer turn on. In fact, the video that I did about setting up my Kindle without it ever touching Amazon servers, that Kindle still works just fine, and I was just reading it the other day. Okay, you can take any of these devices, you can still plug them into Calibri, and you can still transfer ebooks to that. You can still take those books you have off of that Kindle and put them into that library if they are not encrypted. If they are, it may or may not be possible to. You'll have to investigate such things and questions yourself. But the thing is that the Kindle will still work. It just will not function as the quote-unquote Kindle features of syncing to the Amazon resources and getting, being able to digitally send and receive the books. But you can still download books DRM free, and you can still use a tool like Calibri to sync your books to it. It will still function in that way. And what happens if you reboot it? That I don't know exactly. And here's why. I set mine up, and I did a whole video on that a few years ago. Setting up a Kindle, I pulled it out of the box and never put it on the internet. I just took it out, ran through the initial setup screen, plugged it in, and put in a bunch of ebooks, and I have been reading books on that Kindle ever since. Not every book, obviously. I prefer paper books, but sometimes I read a book that is digital. I also use it to check my books before I push them out to sale and things like that. So I get a chance to play with that Kindle quite a bit. Now, after I did that video, somebody left a comment in there, maybe a couple years after that, saying, well, they blocked that and you have to connect it to Amazon first. I do not know if that is true. Now, with these older ones, if they backported some update that would make them not be able to be used unless they go to Amazon servers first, and they no longer are capable of doing that, then I can see these becoming a brick if you had to factory reset it or something like that. But I have not verified any of that. I don't know if you could take one of these old Kindles, simply reset it, and just use it without ever touching the Amazon server. So what is really the definition of what is going on here? That I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try and get my hands on one of these old ones. If you have one of these old Kindles laying around you don't need and you want to let me know, I can tell you where you can mail me one, and I'll play with it and see if I can still get it to function or not. Basically, I would just say, hey, if you don't need it, in fact, you don't even have to send it to me. If you don't need it, just do a factory reset after the date they expire and see if you can turn it back on and plug a book into it with Calibri. That's my thoughts on that. Now, as far as the article here goes, they kind of go into what I said, but the most egregious thing here is for people that really want to use it as a Kindle, as like those syncing features and automatically sending stuff to the book. Well, hey, they're giving you a 20% discount on a new Kindle and a $20 book credit. So here's a little bit of money to force you to buy a new one of our products. I got news for you guys. If you're looking to, if you're caught up in this, go and buy something new from a company that's not Amazon. Just tell them I appreciate it, but I'm not going to take this offer. You're bricking my devices to work perfectly fine. I'm going to go to your competitor instead. Of course, as the article notes here, the coupon expires June 20th, which means when you get the coupon, you have exactly 30 days to decide if you would like to buy a new Kindle or not. So wonderful. He says here this is what's in red here. This is what's in my thought. Is this become permanently unusable as a Kindle or as a generic ebook reader? If it's just unusable as a Kindle and it still works as a generic ebook reader, I call that a feature, not a bug. But, that's kind of me. So there you go. Then they have some discussion about other cloud-based systems shutting down, so be careful about all of that. YouTube Premium is going up again, and of course they are denying that 90-second unskippable ads were something they did. So allegedly this is a bug. They said it's a bug. So now they did try and say, no, we were never doing this, and they got community noted like all galore because everybody and their brother had 90-second unskippable ads. So it was pretty clearly the case. But the other thing that they're doing here is they are actually rolling something out that if everybody gets really active on a live stream at one given time on any YouTuber's live stream, they will actually suspend ads for everybody for a period of time. So it's a way that you can get rid of that. Now, there was a question, well, what about those YouTubers? Don't get their precious ad revenue. Please click on my... No. If you want to help support the channel, have a look over at our Patreon page, TOMM, over on Patreon. Of course, you can go to switchedtolinux.com/support. In fact, if you'd like to see, we have local, Subscribestar, LibrePay, Patreon, things like that. I don't need the ad dollars. I'll take the ad dollars. If you want to have ads while I'm doing stuff, cool. If you want to use YouTube Red, YouTube Premium, whatever they call it this month, cool. I'm down with that. But if you want to support the channel, have a look at the supporter networks. That's the best way to go. Anyway, so yeah, they are fixing that, but they're increasing the cost. I think the let's see, $15.99 a month for the new YouTube Premium. The family plan is now $26.99 a month, which is $4 higher. Of course, everybody is. So they say here, pay with your wallet or your attention. There you go. That's what you want to do. And of course, that 90-second ads were apparently bugs. Yeah, that's exciting. All right, and we have just a couple of SillyVille articles. The first is, I don't know, maybe this is the argument for getting a Ring camera. Of course, any camera that can ping your phone would work, so it doesn't have to be Ring. But this crazy psychopath, which I believe was actually in California, go figure, he kind of showed up at somebody's Ring camera and just kind of started going crazy and ballistic, clearly having a mental health incident. And then, of course, he got into the house and started tearing things up, and frankly had the most calmest homeowner ever. But I will note here, let's just have a brief look at a little bit here.
Hi there, can you open this door, please?
For what?
I just want to make sure that everything's okay. There seems to be something going on.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I just figured I'd check on something.
Okay, so this guy just shows up, calm initially, like, hey, can you open the door? I just want to see if things are okay. Like, who are you? And of course, the guy's like not really having it, so the guy gets crazy.
Leave my house. You don't...
Are you okay? Is everyone in this house okay?
What? Everyone? I don't know you.
My name is Harry Dresden. Open the door. This is my neighborhood. Open the door.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So after all that happens, the guy gets into the house. Wow. Not common that bad words get showed up on my YouTube channel, but there they are. My apologies. So he gets in the house. He's kind of tearing it apart. And this is kind of crazy. Now, here's the thing I'm going to note. California has really weird laws about pew-pews. If this guy were in a house in Pennsylvania, just end it. Wyoming, end it. Tennessee, Texas, Florida, end it. Hey, you do this in Miami, you'll get a really cool headline, and the guy from Polk County, that sheriff from Polk County, will do a really good let-up about, hey, don't be going pounding on people's doors and breaking into their house. You'll be dragged out in a body bag, you know? Nearly every state. California is so crazy that despite this guy is busted into somebody's house and is ransacking it and tearing it apart, the only way you could actually end this guy is if he's actually assaulting you and you have run away as far as you could run away. The law mandates in the state of California, you flee your house before you defend yourself from this crazy psycho. California. In America, we have a thing called the Second Amendment. constitutional carry for all. So, maybe that's the argument. Of course, I would not advocate you have internet connected Ring cameras in your house or on your front door. There's better ways that you could handle this. But yeah, crazy guy. The end of the story here. Crazy guy did. This is, of course, the non-crazy guys. The police actually show up, and it's California, so they haul them away in a police car, and they probably let him out on a signature bond, and the guy might be back in the neighborhood again tomorrow. Who knows? But anyway. Oh boy, blasphemy time. So this company, they have a whole bunch of things. This is a company called Just Like Me, and they have these AI models based on, a lot of company, like they have business gurus and financial guys and Santa Claus and Jesus now. So for $1.99, you can talk to Jesus, which is, of course, imaged after the guy from The Chosen. And he talks about himself in the third person here.
Hi, Jesus. My name is Jeff, and I've been having a really hard time in life, and I'm looking for some inspiration and guidance.
That heaviness you're carrying is truly felt, and I want you to know you're not walking through it alone.
Ah! It's an idol. If you ever want to know what a modern day idol is, that is it. That is it. Let me find the part where he's talking in the third person here.
And lean on prayer as a safe harbor. What small step could you take right now to invite the truth and the life? In the Gospel of John, Jesus reminds us that he is the way, the truth, and the life.
I thought this was AI Jesus. Why is he talking about himself in the third person? This is Jesus talking in the Gospel of John. Jesus reminds you that he is the way. What? Blasphemy! Blasphemy! Yeah, kill it with fire. That's pretty good. So we do have some excellent tweets here in reply. Those itching ears are at it again. There you go. They changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made with corruptible man and birds and four-footed beasts and creepy things. Yep. Creeping things. Well, that's a creepy thing. But anyway, from Romans. No one comes to the Father except through me, and you can do it today for just $1.99 a minute. Again, for only $2 a minute. And this guy here, Bowtied Crake, has some good points here. AI is a tool for improving a theological understanding is good. Like, hey, give me a bunch of Bible verses to summarize this difficult theological verse. Okay, then I can take that list. I can research the topic. I can maybe ask it, refine it, some different viewpoints. But talking to an AI Jesus with what you're feeling, yeah, that is demonic activity embedded with narcissism. I completely agree. Of course, another verse from Exodus here. You should not make yourself an idol of any likeness of what is in heaven above or on earth beneath or in water under the earth. You shall not worship them or serve them or pay $1.99 to talk to them. All right. So that's kind of crazy. So I didn't pull up the company here, but we'll just go ahead and have a brief look at the company for Just Like Me. And it is a company that has, let's see. Hold on. There's a song. AI company. Let's see if I can do that. There you go. Talk to your heroes and improve your life. There you go. Connect with experts and celebrities like never before and leaders. So here you go. Here's your Ryan health fitness coach. Here's Allie, a life coach. Here's a successful entrepreneur. Here's another expert. So see everyone to connect with. Here's Brad. Here's Allie, Mindy, Horace, Allie, Bella, Santa Claus, and Jesus. Okay. Okay. I really want to see them do a Satan too. I want to see some A/B testing. Which one's more popular? Are more people coming to talk to Jesus, or are more people coming to talk to Satan? Is Satan, like they say that the AI Jesus is trained on the King James Version Bible? I would like to know. I wonder what else, because the opening and closing statements were not King James Version Bible. Even the text he was reading, I don't recall it sounding Old English King James. But I wonder, are they going to use, like, is it going to be the Tibetan Book of the Dead? Is it going to be the Satanic Bible? What do they use to train the Satan? Inquiring minds want to know. I also want to know, when can I talk to the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy? Come on, just like me, get with the picture here. Let's bring up Aleister Crowley. Bring him up too. I think a lot of people would love to talk to that psycho. You know, blasphemy all over the place, guys. I'll take your $1.99 a minute though if you want. You can help support us, switchedtolinux.com/support. I got nothing else to say. My brain broke. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Yeah. AI Jesus. Oh boy. Well, let's go ahead and feed the beast, and then we will get on with the rest of the comments here. All right. Well, the comments being, the kitty being fed, let's jump on back to our comments here. Over here on Rumble, anything going over there? Castle Doctrine, yes, there you go. All right, not much else going on over there. And over in Odyssey, we got, let's see, 15 currently watching over on Odyssey. Let's see here. I didn't leave note where I was. Brave sees 3 scripts will run. I will run Virus Total as a SourceForge project. Oh boy. Okay, there we are. That's where we are. Okay, if only enforced by judges that are not corrupt, and even then can abuse children, can claim abuse due to being grounded. Yeah. Why do they even allow AI code in a Linux kernel to begin with? Come on, man. To make it faster and better and rustified, I guess. I don't know. So, what a dummy. Does secret things, but has them display in knots. Hello, McFly. Hello, McFly. Government was already sniffing signal. I think most bank hacks are inside jobs. That's possible. Okay, let's see. Callie's crazy. Visit but don't live there. Yep. I've heard of Mythos AI. Yeah, I've not had a chance to dig into it very much, so I haven't talked about it much. Whoa, sorry about that. My thing was a little wonky there. 39, watching on Z2Bs. Let's see what we got here. I think I remember that. All right. When was a Linux first introduced to this country? Which country? YouTube likes to play politics a solution using FOSS software. That's why I call them Gulag SoftTube. There you go. I don't speak Gen Z. All right, there you go. Sarah Connor, we need you. Terminator drone coming soon. Yep. If my brain is MS Windows, replace it. My brain uses ND kernel and GNU stuff. There you go. Sarah isn't a Terminator. She's the nut job collecting Social Security now. About how long was Linux first introduced to this country? Which country you're talking about? Did you see the video of the robot running the World Hogs? No, I didn't. by Linux. Let's see. Our savior Stallman Linux Torvalds. Let's see. Sarah Connor's female hero that destroyed Skynet with her son John Connor. Yeah. Never actually destroyed it, but has killed it has killed a couple T-800s. There you go. Yeah, don't mess with Sarah. She's the T-800s hunter. Cyberdyne Systems Model 101, right? Okay, installed Linux and said it was Windows. Uh-oh. All AI is crap. In Terminator 2, she destroyed Skynet. Yeah, that's why I don't honor or respect anything in the Terminator series after Terminator 2. Terminator 1 was there. Terminator 2 was, the Descent to Destroy John when he was a boy. Okay. And in the entire plot of it, they destroy the factory, the original chips, and everything that would allow Skynet to be made. Everything after 2 is just a cash grab. It's nonsense. Let's see. If you don't need your Kindle, I'll buy it from you if you like. There you go. Microsoft recall is the main reason I am on GNU Linux. Yep. Good evening, Mark. Greetings. What media player does Linux have? So there are dozens of media players. So if you're looking for just a quick lightweight media player, I like Lollipop is my go-to. Obviously VLC is cross-platform and plays everything everywhere. VLC is your best. It's just not lightweight. Kodi itself is a media player. In fact, it's an entire media system, whole desktop environment that turns the whole computer into nothing but a giant media player. And then there's Clementine, Strawberry, which is based on that. There's just dozens and dozens of them. Rhythmbox comes installed with a number of things. Rhythmbox is nice if you like podcasts, because you can plug in any random podcast feed or search for podcasts on Apple Podcasts and feed it directly into your system. So there's a dozen different media players, and they're all pretty good and all have different purposes. I mess opening Copilot AI while I was sleeping. The moment I'm done with that mess. Depends on the distro. There's Audacious. There you go. Yeah. Let's see. This one should be one of the classics. All right. Guy in the ring door camera like Gargamel in the Smurfs. There you go. That's true. Oh boy, you made me laugh so hard I snorted like a pig. Look at that. This is the guy you invite to a party you didn't want to attend in the first place. There you go. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that AI Jesus is blasphemy. Yes, indeed, it is. Real life reaction to that. How does Audacious work? Thank you. Yeah, do I have a video on Audacious? I don't remember if I have a video on Audacious or not. I don't know. Hey, Ivan, do I have a video on Audacious? Digital Jesus sucks. Audacious is an audio application used every day producing STL podcasts. Oh, so is that one more of an audio creator? I use Audacity for doing my podcast stuff. Okay. Oh yeah, Audacious. Yeah, I might have a video on that one, because Audacious is the one that you can theme it to look like Winamp, which is good. Can Audacious be used for ripping, playing, burning CDs? So for burning, you'd use, there's a couple different programs for burning. XF Burn is one of them. I'm forgetting the names of them. You just go into a software center and just type in what you're looking for. Ripper X is what I use for ripping CDs, things like that. So different applications for those. Free AC, okay. From EU, all I can say is all the rules will come as applying to you. Personally, I don't see any changes in the EU. Thank you. We have a $5 super chat, Mark Covington. Did you use Windows 11 before switching to Linux? No. The last Windows system I used in production is Windows 7. When I saw Windows 10 coming down the pipeline, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it because of all the data collection it was doing that you couldn't turn off. So I switched to Linux at that point in time. And then I maintained that Windows 7 computer for a period of time just to transition all my workflow. And then about 5 or 6, I think it's 6 or 7 years ago, I don't know, somewhere around there, I went full-time Linux only. I only have a Windows 10 computer on a Surface Pro 1 here, just mostly just for doing videos about how to switch to Linux. So, but yeah, I've never actually used it. Didn't see age verification for Discord. Not saying it won't happen. Yeah, they're doing some internal stuff. They're doing some internal stuff that tries to approximate your age. If they can't quite figure it out, they are going to ask you for stuff. Someone say strawberry? Yes. Strawberry is one of the forks of clementine. I do not trust EU, especially these things. Yep. But I'm in Canada, so I may be wrong. Maybe the AI robot will run your cat. Oh dear. Oh, Audacity is what you use. Brain fart. Yeah, Audacious. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I have an Audacious. I think I covered Audacious in one of my media player ones. Let's see if I did a video on that. 4 years ago, we did a Linux music player review. So I'll post that one there on YouTube, since you're asking questions on YouTube. So I on that one, I covered a bunch of them. I think I may have covered Audacious in that. I did a one specifically on Lollipop as well, and that one's 8 years ago, so I would probably not recommend that. That is like a couple houses ago, a really bad studio, and really bad hair, which is why I wear a hat these days. Of course, I pretty much shaved it all off, so it's all good. All right. But anyway, so yeah, I did not do a dedicated video to Audacious. Let's see. Looks like Nero. Yeah, K3B is a good CD. Yeah, K3B is one. And I did. Yeah, I use Ripper X for ripping. Burning. I've used a couple. What's the default one that used to? Brasario is the default one that used to come out of Ubuntu. I've used Brasario a few times for burning stuff. All right, I think we have gotten to the bottom of the comments. Let's see. Heard you mention Invidious. Yeah, so I mean, some of those you can get in trouble for mentioning some of those things, you know. So there's that. What are your Linux distros? My Linux distros? My Linux distros, we're streaming this right now on Linux Mint Cinnamon. I also have 2 laptops running Linux Mint Cinnamon. One of those running the 21 branch. One of those running the 22 branch. I have my main media PC runs Endeavor OS. My work computer is MX Linux. My writing computer is MX Linux. My AI LLM server is Peppermint. And my image AI server we're playing with right now is on MX Linux. So mostly MX Linux and Linux Mint around here with a little bit of Endeavor. So anyway, I think we will wrap this guy up here. Thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you guys next time.